Travel along, Catholic pilgrims, as we learn from St. Augustine, Doctor of the Church, while we read his book, Confessions. Hello, Catholic pilgrims. Well, today we get the famous pear-stealing story. It's a short read, but we'll jump right into Book 2, Chapter 4 by turning to page 47. It is certain, O Lord, that theft is punished by your law, the law that is written in men's hearts and cannot be erased however sinful they are. For no thief can bear that another thief should steal from him, even if he is rich and the other is driven to it by want. Yet I was willing to steal, and steal I did, although I was not compelled by any lack, unless it were the lack of a sense of justice, or a distaste for what was right and a greedy love of doing wrong. For of what I stole, I already had plenty, and much better at that. And I had no wish to enjoy the things I coveted by stealing, but only to enjoy the theft itself and the sin. There was a pear tree near our vineyard, loaded with fruit that was attractive neither to look at nor to taste. Late one night, a band of ruffians, myself included, went off to shake down the fruit and carry it away, for we had continued our games out of doors until well after dark, as was our pernicious habit. We took away an enormous quantity of pears, not to eat them ourselves, but simply to throw them to the pigs. Perhaps we ate some of them, but our real pleasure consisted in doing something that was forbidden. Look into my heart, O God, the same heart on which you took pity when it was in the depths of the abyss. Let my heart now tell you what prompted me to do wrong for no purpose, and why it was only my own love of mischief that made me do it. The evil in me was foul, but I loved it. I loved my own perdition and my own faults, not the things for which I committed wrong, but the wrong itself. My soul was vicious and broke away from your safekeeping to seek its own destruction, looking for no profit in disgrace, but only for disgrace itself. Unless St. Augustine brings up the pear story at another point in the book, it's curious to me why this particular story is one of the more memorable things for people after they've read the book. I've been wondering, why is this? Well, I think it's because he gives us a very specific example of something that he did. He stole pears for no real good reason. He wasn't hungry. It sounds like he didn't even like them, but it was the thrill of doing something wrong that tempted him. I think the reason that this story sticks out so much in our minds is that St. Augustine shows us that even the dumbest and most pointless sins are so easy to be tempted into. We can understand why people are tempted into the sin of lust, because there's a physical pleasure involved. Anger can sometimes be justified, though it can go too far. Stealing money, high-dollar items, or things you can't afford can be tempting because we think that those things will bring us happiness. Though none of this is good, it's kind of easy to see why people are easily tempted into committing these sins. But stealing pears, even when you're not starving, why? Well, Satan and the world do a fantastic job of making sin, even the most pointless, stupid sin, seem exciting and thrilling. I've talked about this on another season, but there is a song by Taylor Swift that has a line that goes, quote, "Loving him is like driving a new Maserati down a dead-end street, faster than the wind, passionate as sin, ending so suddenly," unquote. Even here we see that she's writing about how sin is passionate, full of exciting risk, and the chance to possibly really feel alive. St. Augustine says as much when he tells us why he and the other boy stole the pears. Quote, "Our real pleasure consisted in doing something that was forbidden," unquote. Now, on the flip side, a virtuous life is often depicted as boring, lame, uneventful, and stifling. But I say, how boring to be so weak, that you can be tempted so easily and are so dependent on others' opinions of you that you'll lose your soul for a short thrill. In order for a life to be inspiring, the person has had to live virtuously. If St. Augustine had only ever been the pear-stealing, lustful guy, his name would have been lost to history long ago, and no one would know of him. It's only because God broke into his life and transformed him that he has been remembered for well over 1,500 years. Definitely something to think about. But that will be all for today, Catholic Pilgrims. I will see you soon, and until then, live the faith boldly and travel well.